So Christmas is over, and now we are turning our attention and our thoughts to the approaching end of this year and the beginning of the new year. How many people would say that you are ready and even glad to see this year end and start a new year? Anybody? Yeah. How many people are excited and looking forward to 2022? Anybody looking forward to it? And every year at this time, we can hardly wait for this year to end so we can start a new year, so we can move forward, so that we can move on with our lives. And it's understandable, because if you think about it, a new year kind of represents a fresh start. It represents a new beginning. It represents new hope. It represents new possibilities, new opportunities, new life. And in a bigger picture sense, you know, a new year kind of represents the potential for a happier life, the potential for a better life, the potential for more fulfillment and more meaning in our lives. You know, New Year's is really a time of renewal in a certain sense. You know, coming to awareness, no matter what's happened, to realize that there's still more in store. There's still more in us and more available to us, that there's more that is accessible, there is more possible, and it brings us to an awareness of that infinite, unlimited reservoir of God's abundance, that the best is still yet to come. You know, in 2 Corinthians it says, "The old has passed away. Look, everything has become new." New Year's is a time of renewal. But I would suggest that it is only a time of renewal, and the best can only come forth if we enter a process of preparation, of handling how we release and let go of the old and the past, and how we open and welcome the new. Sometimes we're so quick to get over this year and get into the new one. We just want to start fast and furious. But I really do believe we need to be more careful and more intentional and prayerful in the way that we let go of the old and open ourselves to the new, to truly allow the best that is yet to come to truly come forth. You know, so how do we handle the letting go of the old and the welcoming of the new year? The first thing I think we need to do is to make peace with this year. Anybody have anything that didn't go as well as you wanted this year? Anything go wrong or not go as perfect as you were hoping? Okay, about 5 of us, good. And how many people had something that happened this past year, and even though it's been a few months or several months, that it still bothers you and irritates you when you think about it? Anybody have one of those? Okay, even less. And so each year, in every life, some things happen that we don't like, we don't enjoy, we didn't want to happen, things that frustrate us, maybe even things that, you know, break our hearts, you know, things, you know, that make us feel, you know, rejected or unworthy. We have all kinds of things that happen that are disappointing, or we feel that are unfair, or they're not right. We have all these kind of things, and what we end up doing is holding on to that energy that I'll collectively call maybe resistance or judgment, you know, or anger or complaining or whining. You know, and the thing about it is, if we want to move forward into the new year, move forward into greater possibilities, you know, holding on to resistance and resentment is not the best springboard to open the way for greater things. That we need to find a way how to deal with those energies and those feelings and those reactions of when life doesn't go as well as we hoped or we wanted. You know, I love that beatitude when it says, "The blessed are the peacemakers." I think peacemakers are people who are making peace with, you know, couples and communities and countries and so on. But the truth is, the only way for the world to have peace is, like our peace song says, it must let it begin with me. You know, we need to learn how to make peace with ourselves, and make peace with the things that have happened in our lives, or make peace with the things that we think that happened to us. So what do you need to make peace with from this year? What is it that you're struggling with, that you haven't been able to accept or forgive or let go or deal with, that still creates energy and aggravation? I've shared before this powerful example of a woman who went to her therapist because she wanted to help improve her relationship with her dad. Her relationship with her dad was not as loving or nurturing or open or supportive or as verbally affirming as she was hoping that it would be, and she would be doing all this work. And one day her therapist said, you know, maybe we need to get to the point where you have to find a level of acceptance that maybe that's as good as your relationship with dad or your dad's going to get. Maybe you need to accept that it may not get to that level of closeness and intimacy that you would like and that you hope for. And the woman became very, very angry at the therapist. She argued against it and fought against it and said, "What do you want me to do, just give up on my dream of having a better relationship with my dad?" And it was amazing because even in her own dialogue and expressing her anger and frustration, she began to realize that the thing that was causing her the most pain was wishing it was different. Trying to force, trying to control, trying to will something to be different and other than it really was. And it's funny because over time she began to accept that this is the relationship. And the ease that came from dropping the resistance and the control gave her a level of peace and helped her deal with it in a better way and actually find ways to enjoy the little victories and the little changes along the way instead of just waiting until everything went as perfect, which was not happening. You know, Buddhists say that pain is a part of life, but suffering is optional. And the thing that turns pain into suffering is resistance. Constantly fighting against the way life is, arguing and wishing it was different and trying to force it to be other than it is. You know, sometimes we think that acceptance is giving up, and it's not about giving up. It's not about giving in. It's about letting go of the resistance. Stop fighting against it. That acceptance is a way of finding peace in the moment with the way things are. It doesn't mean you can't or don't want things to get better and you don't invest time into it. It's just about reducing the tension, the stress, the anger, and the energy, the negative energy that we hold when things aren't going our way. Eckhart Tolle says a very bold statement. Here's what it is. He said, "Accept what the present moment contains and accept it as if you had chosen it yourself." That's the spiritual stretch aspect of it. Because he said if you stop fighting it and work with it, that you'll actually have a greater bit of ease and have a greater likelihood of transforming it or improving it at whatever degree it is than just resisting and fighting and judging it constantly. So what do you need to make peace with that happened in your life this year? What do you need to make peace with regard to relationship? What is it that you need to make peace in terms of your family or your health or in your career or in whatever aspect of your life, of what something you might have done that you regretted or said? You know, because, you know, acceptance is really the key to opening a path to allow the best to come forth. It gets rid of that energy and opens a wonderful space to live life actually, you know, in a greater, more present and joyful and peaceful and open way. The second thing to allow the best to come is to appreciate and to celebrate all the good stuff that has happened in our lives. You know, most of us kind of evaluate the kind of year we have. Like if one or two things didn't go well, we can say it's a bad year. But I guarantee there were a lot of good things, but we end up sometimes taking them for granted because we're so focused on the few things that didn't go as well that we magnify those and minimize all the good and great things that happen. And I would suggest a lot of good and wonderful things have happened in this year for all of us. You know, they do those TV shows like the Year in Review. They've got those things. I mean, we should do like a year in review of the highlights and all the good things that happened to us. Like, what were some of the top things that happened to you this year for you? What were some of the things that you achieved? What were some of the things you overcame? What were some of the things that you learned? What were some of the things you did well? What was the best laugh you had this year? You know, what new friends did you meet? What old friends did you reconnect with? What was the most fun place you traveled? You know, what was your favorite new restaurant you went to? You know, who had the biggest impact on your life? I mean, they're all kinds. What was the most generous moment? What was the way you helped somebody and felt so good about yourself? You know, I would suggest we come up with before Friday, we come up with a top 20 list of the highlights of our year. You know, one of the highlights of my year is I got a car. I hadn't been driving for a couple of years. I went and driving 4 months. I feel so happy having a car. You know, I found a new seafood restaurant called Lure. I went there. Oh, my God, the food was fantastic. And then I got my first gift box from Harry and David. and they had 6 pears in it, the best pears I ever had in my entire life. So good, I ate 3 of them in a row, right out of the box, right off the start. Pear juice is dripping down my face. I didn't care. It was an exquisite, joyful experience and made my top 20 list of 2021. I mean, there are all kinds of good things that happen to us all the time that we take for granted. But one of the interesting things is that when you see the good in situations, it helps you see life differently, think about life differently, and feel differently about life. It makes life easier. No one's life's going to be perfect. Part of the art of life is how to keep enjoying it when everything doesn't go your way. That's really one of the keys of a happy and fulfilling life. In Scripture it says, in all things give thanks, for this is God's will for you. What it's really saying is God's will for us is that even though life isn't perfect, there'll be trials and tribulations, still find yourself in a mindset of gratitude and thankfulness, because that's how you live a happy life. You can't keep waiting till everything gets perfect. It just doesn't happen for everyone. I particularly have always loved, ever since I was a kid, the story of the loaves and fishes, because there's a situation, there wasn't enough. It could have been a panic, an upsetting time. There was not enough food, and yet Jesus, first thing he did, he took what he had, he acknowledged it, he blessed it, he gave thanks for it. Then they shared it, and amazingly, more came. Instead of whining about they didn't have, and all these things are going to go wrong, they didn't do that at all. He didn't do it at all. He just acknowledged what they had, gave thanks for it, shared it, used it, and more came forth. There are a lot of things in our lives that don't go well, but we still have to find the good and give thanks for those situations, because that's a part of the art of life. I told you about my brother who's got pancreatic cancer, and we thought for a while after his chemo that it had gone away, and then like 6 weeks later it's come back with a vengeance and spread to his liver, and he's now on morphine and spending more time in bed, and he's in a lot of pain, and it's just getting to that point, And so our phone calls went from like once a week for an hour, hour and a half, to quite several times because he can't talk as long. And in the context of this, even those little moments on the phone while he's in Canada, but we're talking and connecting, I wouldn't miss it for the world. It's hard as hell. I hate it. My heart's broken. But I'm not going to stop enjoying those moments. And we've got situations like that in our lives. They're not pretty. They're not fun. They're hard. They're heartbreaking. But there's still things within them if we look and open our hearts to be able to give thanks and to appreciate and still enjoy. So what are your top 20 highlights of this year? Because I guarantee if you spend time to think of those, celebrate those, acknowledge those, and appreciate those, it will help you see life better, think about situations better, and feel better. And what better springboard into the new year could you have than that? The last one is to open your mind to the possibilities. Everybody remember Dr. Robert Schuller from the Crystal Cathedral? One of his big things he used to talk about was to be a possibility thinker, have a possibility mindset, the willingness to see possibilities of good in every area of life instead of lamenting and limiting it with your thoughts. I love George Bernard Shaw's famous quote. He said, some people look at life and ask why, and others look at life and ask why not. It says in Scripture, with God all things are possible. So if that is true, what's possible for you? What's possible for your relationship this year? What's possible for your financial life? What's possible for your career? What's possible for your spiritual life? What's possible for the outlook that you have and the attitude that you live your life out of every single day? Jesus said, we shall do the things that ye have done and even greater things than these. So what greater things do you want to do? What greater things do you desire? What greater things do you want to be and achieve and create? Henry Ford in 1908 came up with the Model T, first affordable car, and revolutionized absolutely the car industry. Napoleon Hill interviewed Andrew Carnegie, and of course the steel magnate that he was, $300 million he gave away, $300 million back then. He helped build 3,000 libraries, and he wanted people to know the secret to success. He wanted everyone to know it, and that's why he kind of commissioned, so to speak, Napoleon Hill, gave him all kinds of introductions from Edison to Charles Schwab, to find out what is the secret to success. Here's what he said it was. The secret to success and the real reason why everyone succeeds is that humans have the ability to access a universal intelligence that is deeper than their thought and thinking, that is deeper than the human mind. That every single one has the ability to tap into a level of unlimited possibilities, of inspiration and inventions and ideas, of things that we have not even, could not even imagine. It's available to us. The question is, are we open to the possibilities? Does it sound like my mic is dragging on the floor or something? Okay. Maybe I didn't have as good a shave as I thought. But anyway. So how about this? Before Friday, how about think of one new possibility in the area of relationship, one possibility in the area of your career, one possibility in your finances, one possibility with your health, one possibility for the kind of person you want to be, the kind of attitude and outlook, and one possibility for your spiritual life and your spiritual growth. No matter what kind of year you had in 2021, I guarantee you there's more in store. There is more in you. There is more for you. It is the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. God is not withholding anything from us, but will fill our lives to the extent that we are willing to receive and to the extent to which the space that we open to allow those things to come forth. As the year ends and the new year begins, I invite you to open a space by making peace with all the things that have happened that you struggle with in this year. Celebrate and appreciate your list, your top 20 list of all the good things that happened for you. And then finally, open yourself to the possibilities. Think one new possibility in those 6 areas of life. It's all there available for all of us. The question is, are you open and are you ready for the best that's yet to come? God bless you all. Okay.